Hello, my name is Scott and I'd like to share with you my September 11th experience. On the morning of September 11th, around 7:30 a.m., I had a scheduled neurosurgeon appointment and I had MRI tests done on my neck because I had injured myself playing college football earlier that week. I remember my nurse being Melanie, my cousin who I hadn't seen in years. The test results showed that I had pinched nerves between my C3 and C4 discs in my neck, which were quite painful. I remember leaving the appointment around 8:30 a.m. trying to rush to my 9 a.m. digital media arts class. I overheard a discussion on the radio of unconfirmed reports that a pilot had crashed a commercial airliner into the top of the North Tower. My first thought was that the pilot must be a blind idiot to miss the Twin Towers. That remained my thought until I rushed into my classroom with 23 students glued to a projection screen displaying the North Tower in flames, with a cascade of sparks and fire as innocent people jumped to their deaths. Thousands of people were running for their lives that morning. Moments later, there was an explosion in the South Tower, followed by screams throughout our building and the United States. This was no accident. It was a second hijacked airliner crashing directly into the South Tower. It was a moment that we all realized the US was under attack. I remember the panic, with students and professors alike trying to reach loved ones with little success. Too many people were using the cell phone towers at once and the lines were all tied up, which created even more panic as New York City was filling with smoke, dust, confusion, and fear. As students were gasping at the 200+ bodies jumping and falling from the burning buildings, a news flash reported that 5 hijackers had flown a third plane, American Airlines Flight 77, into the Pentagon at 9:37 a.m. Everyone around me thought it was the beginning of World War III, including myself. After burning for 56 minutes, the South Tower collapsed at 9:59 a.m. At 10:03 a.m., a fourth flight, United Airlines Flight 93, crashed near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. At that point, though, no one knew that the plane was under control of hijackers or that the passengers were fighting for their lives until the eventual crash before its intended destination of the United States Capitol. At 10:28 a.m., after burning for 102 minutes, the North Tower crumbled as well. Both towers had compromised the structures of all surrounding buildings, turning everything into white powder ash that had covered everything and everyone in the area. The thousands of tons of toxic debris resulting from the collapse of the Twin Towers contained more than 2,500 contaminants, including known carcinogens. Some 32 million square feet of lower Manhattan office space was either damaged or destroyed that day. It took 9 months of around-the-clock operations to finally clear out the World Trade Center site. The Environmental Protection Agency did not determine that the air had returned to pre-September 11th levels until June 2002. In June 2001, I was a freshman at a private Jesuit college in Western New York. I had just moved into my dorm room, living away from home for the first time. I was just starting to get used to being in a new environment with lots of freedom and excitement. A majority of the students on campus were either from New York City or northern New Jersey, so when the attacks occurred, our campus was a wreck. The life was sucked out of everyone that morning. Classes were canceled, but there was nowhere to go. All commercial airlines within the continental US were grounded, and aircraft already in the air had to land immediately, and all international flights were banned from the US soil for 3 days. The attacks created widespread confusion among news organizations and air traffic controllers as well. As students away from home, all we could do as students was glue ourselves to our TV or computer. This event trumped any of our parents' stories of where they were during the JFK assassination. The television coverage of the terrorist attacks on 9/11 and the aftermath was the longest uninterrupted news event in the history of US television. It lasted for 93 hours. Day and night. Although I knew my family was safe that day, living in a small town 50 miles south of Buffalo, I couldn't help but think of the families affected by this tragedy. Almost 3,000 people were killed during the attacks, and over 6,000 men and women from the US military have been killed in Afghanistan and Iraq since. Right now, my brother is actually serving in the US Army deployed in Afghanistan, and something happened. He was awarded the Purple Heart for his bravery and sacrifice after a 50-pound IED bomb had blown up his artillery vehicle with 6 other soldiers inside. With 4 fractured vertebrae, Kyle managed to carry his comrades to safety. I can only imagine what it was like with 17,400 civilians under attack at the World Trade Center complex on September 11, 2001. More than 70 countries lost civilians in the attacks of the World Trade Center. I'd like to send my condolences to the families of those victims and heroes of 9/11 and to all the soldiers who continue to fight for our freedom. Freedom is not free, and America will never be the same after September 11th. We will never forget. On September 11th, 2001, I may not have lost a family member, but 2.5 months later, my father died unexpectedly in his sleep, and I was an emotional wreck. So I wrote several poems, including the one I'm about to share with you, in dedication to not only my father's death, but everybody who died on September 11th. The poem is titled Life. Seasons come and seasons go. People live and children grow. The sun will rise, the earth will turn, fires roar as buildings burn. Volcanoes explode and rain pours down. People smile and people frown. The sun beams down as children play. The long dark night turns into day. Mother comes when baby cries, and child weeps when father dies. Thanks for watching, guys.
I pray for